All right, today we're working on a 1997 Nissan Maxima. We are going to be replacing the rear valve cover gasket on this car, which is kind of difficult. The intake manifold has to come off. So we're going to show you how to take the intake manifold off and replace the rear valve cover gasket. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing, we've already disconnected the negative battery terminal. Anytime you're working on a major job under the hood, you just want to do that. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is remove all the ducting from the air filter assembly. This duct piece is actually missing its little clips, but you would normally have some push pins that hold this piece in, but they're missing, so we don't need to worry about that. So this just pulls up. I'm going to disconnect. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and undo it all. Okay, now that's out of our way. I am going to try, not sure what success we'll have, but I'm going to try to take the intake off, yet leave the throttle body on the car. And again, I don't know how well this is going to work, so we're just going to trial and error it. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything off the throttle body and unbolt it from the intake manifold. All right, so I should be able to just leave the throttle body off to the side like this. That just saves us from having to disconnect coolant hoses and hoses off the base of it. What I'm going to do now is go around and just disconnect all the electrical plugs. And then I'm going to fold these throttle cables out of my way. Just kind of open up everything and get it all out of our way. Okay, I'm working on taking out the ignition coils. I've already got a couple of them loose. Here's one. To get to this one, fortunately, I have to take off this solenoid thing, which has two 12mm nuts. So in order to get that ignition coil off, we'll take this off and then get to that and continue taking more things apart. All right, so now we've got just about everything undone. Whoever had worked on this car last, there's one bracket on the back of here that's really hard to get to. There's a bolt you can only get to by feeling. I feel that whoever had worked on this last actually left that bolt out, which is I've seen in the past, so actually saves a little work for us, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you find that the intake won't come off, feel on the back and see if there's any bolts back there that are just holding everything still in place. So we do have, there's an EGR tube that goes on the back. There's no way I can really show you because it's all by feel. These cars, a lot of the repairs you have to do by feel, which is never fun. You just kind of feel out where the bolt is and then loosen it. There's 2 bolts on the EGR tube that I'm going to undo. Once I get the intake manifold off, I'll be able to show you the ones I undid. But I'm just going to go ahead and undo those now. Okay, I've got the 2 bolts undone for the EGR tube. So, if all goes well now, I should be able to, and I have a feeling it won't, but I should be able to take out these 4 intake bolts, and then hopefully it'll lift up, but I probably missed something. We'll find out in a minute here. So I'm going to go ahead and take out these 4 bolts. All right, we're going to see. Boy, might have lucked out. All right, here's one thing I need to disconnect is the EGR or PCV valve hose. You can see it runs into the valve cover there. Let me see how. So we're going to just get down in here and loosen up that hose clamp, and hopefully that'll come off of there. There it goes. Okay, now I see I have there's one hose I missed. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there's one rubber hose right at the base of the throttle body, which I've still got to disconnect. Or not the throttle body, but the base of the intake behind the throttle body. So let's see. About getting in there. Uh-oh, that's a coolant hose. So, coolant hose on one, that means we're gonna have another one hidden somewhere too. Where is the other coolant hose? Here's another hose. See, as you're doing this, you don't want to pull on the intake too hard because you're likely to find hoses that you forgot to disconnect. And you just want to do them one at a time as you come upon them. Alright. There's one more, not easy at all to get to, coolant hose down here that's connected. And you can see it right there. And there's a hose clamp. I don't know if you can see that there, but let's see if I can tilt that thing just a little bit. There we go. Here's our other hose. So we're going to disconnect that guy. And that again is going to be a coolant hose, so you're going to get a little bit of coolant leaking. Or not. Alright, now, look at that, it's loose. Alright, so we'll just set our intake assembly aside. Now that we're in here, I can show you this flange here. This is where I took out those two 12mm bolts for the EGR tube. These are the two coolant hoses that were difficult to get to. These brackets right here, those are the ones that already had the missing bolts in them, where you can see that those are the hard to get to ones that I was saying that somebody already left out. So, so that gives you a little clarity on that. So I'm gonna take a breather and we'll get right back to it. All right, so while we were away, I went ahead and all I did was took some paper towels and plug up each of the 6 intake ports here. That's just to keep anything from falling down in there. The last thing you want is like a loose nut or bolt falling down there. You'll destroy your engine that way. So what we'll do now is loosen this crossover tube, and there are now bolts all the way around the intake, or I'm sorry, valve cover that we're going to go ahead and take off. Okay, so I've got all the bolts out of the valve cover. Oh, except one. There we go. Got all the bolts out of the valve cover. We're going to go ahead and pry up on it. Well, I'll try just lifting up on it first. Oh, there we go. If it doesn't do that, then you have to pry on it. But this one actually just came right up. So we're just going to accept that one corner because I missed a bolt. Figures. All right, one more bolt. Of course, it's hard to get to. Thanks, Nissan. All right, there we go. So now we'll lift our valve cover off, and you can see here this is the we've been trying to get to this whole time, which is our culprit and which has been leaking. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this off, and I'm gonna bring this aside and get it all cleaned up, and I'll come back to you in just a bit. Okay, what we're gonna do, we got our inside of our valve cleaner cleaned up somewhat. It's still not perfect, but it's we got all the sludge off of it at least. Next, what we're going to do is take out the 3 spark plug tube seals, and you'll see one of them is already missing. Reason for that, it's actually stuck on the old spark plug tube. So we'll just pull that off of there. As for the other two, these should just pry right out of the hole. So we're just going to go to both of those and pry them out. We've got the complete valve cover set, which comes with new spark plug seals and new washer, bolt grommet washer things. I'll show you that too. All right, so here is our new valve cover set. I already opened it up, but you can see it's got the nice blue valve cover gaskets. We got this from apdty.com. So we got our new valve cover gaskets. You can see in the kit also has the new washers with the rubber grommets on there, as well as the new spark plug tube seals. So first we're going to go ahead and install these into our valve cover. The way you want this to go, you'll see by looking at it, one side is tapered. This side has a taper on it. The reason for that is when you go to put the valve cover on, it'll slide smoothly onto the spark plug tubes. So you want the taper facing upward, like that. And you can usually just push it in by hand. To begin with, and then we'll just knock it in the rest of the way in a minute here. Okay, so this was started. Now I'm just going to take a little hammer and tap those in real quick. All right, I'm just going to knock these in. Just takes a little bit of force. Okay, so those are all in there nice and tight. I'm just going to clean up just wipe off the ends of the spark plug tubes so that when these slide on there, they won't be sitting in sludge. This car's got a lot of sludge on the inside of the engine here. So, there we go. All right, next we're going to figure out which valve cover gasket goes on this valve cover. They might actually be both the same, so just grab one, and that does not line up, so we'll grab the other one. And there we go. There, lines up just perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and stick just a little bit of glue or sealant in here, just to kind of hold this gasket in place, not to actually make the seal, but to hold it so it doesn't fall out when we go to install it. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, I'm just going to put a couple little dabs of silicone in little spots around the valve cover. Now again, this is not to make the seal, this is just to help hold the gasket when I go to install it. This saves headache, keep the gasket from falling out. All right, now I'm going to just line the gasket up and push it in place. All right, while that's drying, make sure you don't have any of that silicone on the gasket surface. While that's drying, I'm going to swap out the grommets for the valve cover. All right, so what we need to do is we're going to replace these little valve cover bolt washers. We'll just pry those off one at a time. You'll see that's what it looks like. That's supposed to be rubber, but it's actually hard as a rock. All right, so once we get our valve cover in place, we'll take our new grommets, and you'll see they just sit there. And these actually help make the seal, because the rubberiness, whatever, helps hold the valve cover in place, because you tighten the bolt down, and the bolt's only tightened so far, and the squishiness, that's the word I'm looking for, will help push the valve cover down. So we'll set those in place once we get the valve cover lined up. Our next step is going to be, and this is a very important step, when I was on my break, I cleaned up the surface all around here. I just used some generic parts cleaner and cleaned it all up. The corners over here, a little bit of dirt there. The corners where this lip starts to go up here and down here at the base are very important that you put a silicone sealant or RTV sealant in this corner. I'm going to put a good generous amount on there. That is where, if you're going to have a leak, that's where it'll leak. So we want a big glob of sealant on that area, and then we'll put our valve cover on. Make sure again that I have that real clean. Now that it's real clean and dry, you want the sealant to be able to stick to it. I'm going to go ahead and stick a glob of good silicone RTV on there. I'm going to go kind of excessive. I'm going to put a big glob and I'm just going to smear it around with my finger in a second here. One there and then one up in this corner. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of spread it around real well. Make sure that that whole corner is all sealed up. Okay, and then when we put the gasket on there, or the valve cover on there, it'll smush it down into shape. But it's got plenty there to mold into shape. Now you want to do this pretty quick after putting that silicone on there, because you do not want that to dry before you seat the gasket in place. We're going to go ahead and line up our valve cover real carefully so you don't knock the gasket out of place. Once it's lined up, you just kind of push it and it'll fall into place on the spark plug tubes. Oh, it's supposed to. There she goes. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and put our new valve cover bolt grommets on here. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and get all of our bolts started just by hand. All right, at this point I'm going to go ahead and go around and snug them all down in a crisscross pattern. I'm not going to torque them, just going to snug them all down. Then I'll go back around and tighten them down the rest of the way. I went ahead and snugged down all of the valve cover bolts, and then I went back around and tightened them. Now they don't have to be overly tight. They'll only go so tight that the tightness of them will not make a difference on whether the valve cover leaks or not. Because as you saw, they had like a spacer on them. And like I was explaining, the squishiness of that washer is actually what holds the valve cover tight. Anyway, once you tighten it down, just snug it, and then that's all it has to go. It's about 10 foot-pounds. So now we are ready to go ahead and put the intake back on. Just looking again, we got all our bolts tight here. Go ahead and stick this hose back on. And now I'm just going to go back through and put the intake on. Don't forget to pull these guys out. But we'll just going to reverse the process. The trickiest part will be getting these hoses on. I'm going to do that first, and then getting the bolts started for that EGR tube. If your car still has these bolts, just try to put them back in. They are kind of important. They hold the intake in place. So whoever worked on this last though left us no option because they did not leave the bolts in there. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get started on that. All right, before I go and tighten everything down, I'm going to get those two bolts on that EGR valve started. Which again is going to be done all by feel, so I can't really show you what I'm doing. And I just realized I forgot let's get the PCV valve on there too. One thing I wanted to mention, if you plan on doing a tune-up at the same time, when you're doing this job is the perfect time to go ahead and do the tune-up, because you've already got the ignition coils off. All you have to do is down in that spark plug tube is just take out the spark plugs basically. I didn't do that on the job today, but from there it's just your regular tune-up. So just something I wanted to mention. Okay, I've got, for the most part, everything hooked up, or bolted on at least. And the vacuum line's hooked up. I bolted up the throttle body. I'm going to go ahead and put our wiring back on. Just big trick on doing the wiring is just, you'll see that every connector kind of falls in the general area of where it should be. Now each connector will also only connect to one thing. So if it's not going, then you're probably trying to connect it to the wrong area, or wrong connector. So just methodically walk through, well, not literally walk, but go through and connect one plug at a time. If you have any brackets undone like this one, just put them back together as you go. And this big bundle of wires, I do the same thing, just one at a time. Every connector is going to have somewhere to go. So just kind of methodically go through and start connecting. If anything's missing, you might be like this one, dangling down further, dangling down below. Or, let's see, here's one that doesn't seem to have a home, but it's got to somewhere. So, there it is, buried back here. Okay, so our throttle body is tight. Our electrical connectors are all connected. We're going to go ahead and put our throttle cable back on, which we kind of sped through this when we took it apart. All you have to do to connect these, it's like when you changed your bicycle, when you worked on your bicycle, same deal. It's got the little thing that you slide in, and it just kind of loops over, and then same with this one. It slides in, goes in a little hole there, and loops over, and then just the tension of it just holds it all in place. I assume people still work on their own bicycles? Yes, no, maybe? All right, last I'm going to reinstall our air filter housing. Just like everything else, just kind of line everything up. Slide things on and plug things in. These cars have what I consider excessive vacuum hoses and tubes and piping and stuff. You just got to make sure you get them all back on. Okay, now we slide our air filter, air inlet ductwork back in place. Snaps in over the air filter housing. This piece comes in like that. And we just got to bolt our little bracket back on here that we took off originally. And I'm going to try to find some push pins to hold that in, but we'll do that do that in a minute. That should complete our job. All I'm going to do now is just look over everything. and we'll start her up and make sure everything's tight and not leaking. Now, really we should have, and we will do at a later time, done the front valve cover, but the procedure on that is pretty much identical to doing the rear one, just that you don't have to take off the intake manifold. All you have to do is take off this cover, and then it's just like doing the rear valve cover once you get the intake off. Just take out the bolts, slide it off, clean it, change your gasket, and you're good. But this car, it looks like somebody had changed the front one in the past. So the front wasn't leaking, only the rear was leaking really bad. That's why we only did the rear for now. But that should do it. Again, we're just gonna tighten everything, make sure everything's tightened up, and start her up and make sure it's good to go. All right, so we appreciate you watching. Remember, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/apdty. Also subscribe to us here on YouTube, and keep an eye out. We'll keep making new videos for you. Thank you.